Hi, I just took my IELTS exam and these are my scores, and I want to share with everyone my experience with the IELTS exam from beginning to finish. When we booked for our IELTS exam, I chose to book it a month ahead of time because the testing center provided us with some review materials that we could review before our exam date. So that's exactly what I did. I had a whole month to review, but I think I only reviewed for like 2 weeks. And during the booking of your IELTS exam, you will have to provide a valid government ID. So for me, I provided my passport, but you could use other government IDs such as SSS, BRC ID, and stuff. When we booked for our exam, we were asked for our preferred schedule for writing, listening, and speaking. And I think the available schedules were 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. So we chose the 9 a.m. schedule. The speaking test is separate and it was scheduled to be in the afternoon. I paid for 12,920 pesos for the exam. Since the exam is at 9 a.m., we were required to go to the testing center 30 minutes before the exam time, so that's 8:30 a.m. But we arrived at the testing center an hour early, and when we arrived, there were literally so many people that all the examinees arrived an hour early, and I didn't have any more chair to sit on, so I literally had to borrow a chair because that's how the lobby was. All the seats were occupied. You need to be early at the testing center because they will still sort out the examinees, because we have IELTS UKVI and the standard one, and then general training and academic versions of these two, and then IELTS on paper and computer, and they'll have to sort out the examinees according to the module that they will be taking. Somebody asked me what should they wear when going to the IELTS exam. They really didn't prescribe any type of clothing that you have to wear, but perhaps like something you'll wear to an interview is appropriate, so like semi-formal, and then bring your jacket. I brought an iPad or some of my notes with me because I wanted to review before the exam because I thought I could do that. But when we arrived, they asked us to put all of our stuff into the locker. Since I brought a tumbler that was not non-transparent, I had to put that in the locker as well. So while sorting the examinees in the lobby, they will call you by name, and then when you go to the staff, they will then ask you to put your index finger into the biometric stuff, and you have to tap it like 4 times, and then they'll take a picture of you, and this is the picture that will be reflected on your IELTS report. So if you want to look your best, then you may do so, but it's not really required to be presentable. After they're done taking your fingerprint and taking your picture, reminder lang na they will also check for your passport or the ID that you used when you booked for your exam. During that process, to make sure that you are the person taking the exam and not someone doing it for you, I guess, for anti-cheating purposes. They will then sort out the examinees to their proper rooms. So for us, I took IELTS general training on computer. So they led me into the exam room, and they have pre-specified a computer unit for me. I saw on the side of the cubicle where my computer was that my name was in there, and they provided us with logins because these logins will be connected to your IELTS IDP online account. So your scores during the exam will be reflected into your account as well. So before your exam, I suggest that you take a pee, or you have to do what you need to do, because during the exam, you'll really need all the time that you have to focus in answering and reviewing your answers. After like 1.5 hours, I had to suddenly take a pee because I drank too much coffee. However, that's allowed, huh? You may do so and just raise your hand and just tell the staff that you need to go to the comfort room, and they will accompany you. That literally the staff was outside my door because this is still anti-cheating, guys, because what if my notes ko pala sa CR, diba, or something. However, when I went to the restroom, the time in my computer was not paused. You cannot pause that. So instead of answering and reviewing your questions, so ma-minus siya sa actual time mo. So that's just my advice. Go to the restroom first before your exam. For the actual exam, guys, the first skill was listening. It's only for 30 minutes. So there were 4 parts in the listening test. There are also 10 items per part, so that's 40 items in total. There were a lot of different scenarios for the listening test per part. So you really have to follow through kasi yung isa parang may story about marketing, tapos may story naman about science. So there were different categories per part, and again, 10 questions per part. Tapos meron ding diagram. They will just describe the diagram and then you'll have to look at the diagram and follow through what they were talking about for you to answer. So yeah, there were different categories. In between different skills, my tutorial naman, or like a 30-second instruction video on what you'll need to do per test or per skill. Before listening test, 30-second instruction video. Before reading test, another 30-second instruction video. For reading test naman, there were 4 parts again. 10 items each because all of these were 40 points kasi. For reading, there were different scenarios again. So like there was travel and then there was science again. I think for the reading part, the challenging one was finding a suitable heading for the paragraph. There were a few paragraphs sa reading test ko and there were like 6 headings, so like 6 paragraphs. So you have to match the heading to the paragraph. I think that was the most challenging reading part in the reading test. For the writing, there were 2 different tasks. So the first one is to write a letter for 150 words within 20 minutes. And then the second task was to write an essay for 250 words within 40 minutes. So that's 30 minutes of listening, 1 hour sa reading, another 1 hour sa writing. After that, you will be asked to return 30 minutes before your scheduled speaking test. So for me, 2:50 kasi yung schedule ko for the speaking test. I had to go back at 2:20. However, my house was very far away. So I thought maybe I could stay sa lobby ng testing center. However, the lobby kasi is right through the speaking test area. Like, you can hear a little bit of the speaking test. So when I went in, they told me hindi pala allowed yun kasi maririnig mo. And I actually asked Macare staff kung saan ba yung designated nila na waiting area because they don't have any, and that's exactly what they told me. They don't have any waiting area aside from the lobby na hindi ako pwedeng magstay. They recommended for me to go to 7-Eleven, which was right across the street, and Macare was at the 3rd floor. Although may elevator naman. So some people chose to stay sa hallway, which was kind of dark and wala talaga mga chairs. So some examinees ay nakaupo sa staircase. So just to set your expectations lang. During my speaking test, it was a live call with an examiner and my 20 minutes ko lang to answer. There were 3 parts as well. The first part were questions about yourself or like personal questions. The second part was like the cue card, or you will be given a certain topic and then you'll have to talk about these 3 bullet points which are connected to your main topic. And then the third part will be different questions related to your answers to the second question. So 3 parts yan. And in total, I'm not really sure about the exact number, but I think there were 20 questions that were asked to me. Tapos yun lang guys, I also made a video of the do's and don'ts when taking your IELTS exam. It's somewhere in my page. Check mo na lang yan. Kasi even this smartwatch is not allowed. My target band score was only 5, but I'm very happy to share with you that I got these scores with a total band score of 8.5. And 9 was the highest band. I'll make na lang a different video for like my tips per skill. So like for reading, what tip could I give, or kung ano ba yung mga dapat pansinin, something like that. So yun lang. Thank you for watching.